Usually, when a globally ambitious pop star decides to engineer a massive, highly competitive R&B track, you expect a very specific, calculated formula.
Oh, absolutely.
You anticipate, aggressive beats, maybe a small army of focus groups,
Right.
and probably a guest verse from whatever rapper is currently trending. It's treated as a highly calculated science.
It's totally algorithmic most of the day.
Exactly. But what if I told you that one of the most brilliant hit songs we've seen recently wasn't built by chasing algorithms? What if it was built by channeling profound homesickness and a purple childhood dinosaur?
I mean, framing a commercial hit around a plush children's character sounds like a recipe for a novelty joke track.
Right.
It absolutely shouldn't work on paper. Yet here we are, looking at a piece of music that is structurally redefining what it means to connect with a global audience.
Welcome to the Future_Music Deep Dive. Today we are exploring the high-stakes reality of our core premise. Famous singers need hit songs.
They really do.
And we're accomplishing that mission by completely deconstructing Dorado's brand new track, Purple Love.
Such a fascinating release.
Over the course of this deep dive, we're going to unpack the brilliant production strategy behind this massive genre pivot. We'll look at the intense emotional profile hidden directly in the English lyrics and, this unprecedented wave of hype being generated by her devoted fan base.
The essential baseline we have to establish here before we even touch the streaming data or chart mechanics is that true longevity in the music industry, it doesn't come from hacking an algorithm.
Right, it's way deeper than that.
Exactly. The songs that last, the ones that permanently alter an artist's trajectory, are those that actively alleviate a listener's emotional burdens.
Oh, I love that phrasing.
They offer a tangible sense of understanding. And that specific concept of emotional alleviation is the entire functional purpose driving this collaboration.
So let's start by looking at the musical architecture of this track. Because from an industry perspective, Dorado stepping out of her pop comfort zone to attempt R&B for the first time is a massive strategic pivot.
It's a huge risk.
Huge. In a recent message to her fans, the Dorazia, she explicitly admitted this was a genuine challenge for her. And honestly, that makes perfect sense.
Well, pivoting to R&B isn't just trying on a new aesthetic.
No, not at all. It's like, okay, imagine an actor who has only ever starred in massive, explosion-filled, green screen blockbuster movies.
Right.
And suddenly they step onto a tiny stage to perform a one-woman acoustic play.
That's a great analogy.
There are no massive pop synths to hide behind here. If her vocal control isn't completely flawless, the silence in the room will immediately expose her.
And that space, that intentional silence, is the defining characteristic of rhythm and blues.
Yeah, talk about that a bit.
Well, standard pop music typically places the vocal right on top of a driving, predictable beat. It pulls the listener forward aggressively.
Right? It demands your attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But R&B, on the other hand, requires the vocalist to sit back in the pocket of the groove. It demands emotional restraint, forcing the artist to let the rhythm breathe.
Which is completely contrary to pop instincts.
Precisely. You are taking an established pop vocal identity and mapping it onto a completely different rhythmic and harmonic structure. The business risk is that she sounds out of her depth, or worse, entirely inauthentic.
Which is why bringing in producer Codekins for this specific pivot is such a fascinating choice.
Oh, absolutely essential.
If you're going to take that kind of risk, you need flawless engineering.
Yeah.
But how does his specific style actually protect her in this new environment?
That's the key question.
We throw around the word atmospheric a lot when discussing his production, but what is mechanically happening in the studio to make this work?
Well, what Codekins does mechanically is build a sonic safety net through meticulous layering.
Okay.
Instead of a loud, dominant drum track that a singer has to shout over, he utilizes subtle, textured percussion and these deep, warm bass lines that envelop the vocal rather than compete with it.
Ah, so it supports her rather than forcing her to fight for space.
Exactly. He is weaving an incredibly lush, complex R&B environment. He builds the room, sets the lighting, and controls the temperature so Dorado can walk in and focus entirely on the vulnerability of her delivery.
And it subverts the audience's expectations, right? Because no one anticipated a pure R&B track from her.
Nobody saw it coming.
But it manages to maintain total artistic coherence. Like, you, as the listener, get surprised, but you don't feel alienated because the production quality is so watertight. It legitimizes the entire experiment.
But a flawless beat is still just an empty room until the artist brings something real into it.
Yeah, that's very true.
The sonic architecture is there. But what Dorado chose to put inside that architecture is where this stops being just a smart business move and becomes a fascinating psychological study.
Okay, I have to stop you there
Yeah.
because this is the exact point where my skepticism kicks in.
Mm.
Yeah. In her post, Dorado revealed the primary inspiration for this song. The anchor for the entire track is Barney, the purple dinosaur, her favorite character since she was a kid.
Yeah, it's wild.
She also tied it linguistically to her fans, noting that the word for bellflower in her language is also purple. Now, the wordplay is clever,
It is.
but R&B is historically the genre of romance, swagger, or deep, mature heartbreak. How does framing a highly competitive commercial R&B track around a plush 90s children's toy not immediately turn this into an unserious novelty track?
I completely understand why you think that.
Doesn't this hyperspecificity risk completely alienating a broader global audience who might not care about her childhood cartoons?
It would absolutely be a novelty track if she were singing literally about the television show. But she isn't.
Okay.
She is utilizing the symbol of that childhood comfort to process a very adult, very real pain.
Right.
This goes back to the preliminary analysis we discussed last Monday when the track first dropped.
Oh, yeah, our working theory.
Exactly. The theory was that this song functions as a deep emotional anchor for Dorado, who is currently dealing with intense homesickness, feeling geographically and emotionally isolated from her family while touring and working.
And that theory received a massive piece of validation, by the way.
Yes, it did.
In episode 11 of the documentary show covering this collaboration, Code Kunst explicitly confirmed our interpretation. He verified that her profound homesickness is the central creative engine driving the track.
Which directly answers your question about alienation. Human psychology dictates that the specific unlocks the universal.
The specific unlocks the universal.
Yes. You, as a listener, might not share her exact nostalgia for a purple dinosaur, but you absolutely recognize the yearning for safety.
Oh, for sure.
You deeply recognize the desire to return to a time when things were simple, warm, and comforting.
Yeah.
When a massive pop star is that incredibly vulnerable, admitting to leaning on a childhood crutch because the adult world is currently too overwhelming, it creates a profound emotional resonance.
It strips away that untouchable pop star facade. She is admitting to the exact same feelings of isolation and exhaustion that you, the listener, feel on a daily basis.
Exactly. By utilizing that specific symbol, it reduces the listener's own suffering by making them feel deeply understood.
Wow.
The song isn't about Barney at all. It's about the universal human need for a safe harbor when you are far from home.
Let's look at how that need for a safe harbor is actually translated into the English lyrics, because this track functions almost like a literal tool for healing.
It really does.
The most striking example is the explicit offer in the chorus to sing a purple-dyed lullaby for a tired and exhausting day.
Such a beautiful phrase.
I want you, the listener, to really think about the mechanics of that for a second. Think about the last time a piece of massive chart-topping commercial media actively tried to soothe you, rather than just hype you up or make you want to dance.
It's incredibly rare.
Structuring a modern pop R&B song as a functional lullaby is architecturally staggering.
It completely alters the relationship between the creator and the consumer.
How so?
While a standard pop song demands your energy, you have to
Well-
move to it, engage with it. A lullaby gives energy back to you.
Oh, that's a brilliant distinction.
And if you look at the broader lyrical motifs,
Yeah.
you see a massive dichotomy that explains why this lullaby is so necessary in the first place.
Yeah, the lyrics are dominated by imagery of vast, empty, isolating spaces. There is the line, "If you float with me in space again," alongside references to seeing skies blue within the ocean.
Yeah.
It creates this feeling of being incredibly small in an endlessly massive void. It feels huge and, frankly, very lonely.
That vastness represents the geographical and emotional separation she's experiencing.
Yeah.
And then you have the juxtaposition of enduring pain placed against enduring memory.
Right, the lyrics ask, "Through the end, so to the pain, why do you have to run away and cry?"
But that pain is immediately countered with commands to hold on to connection.
Like, remember all the time we spent together.
Exactly. And search for your melody when I'm down.
Which means the space represents the separation and the melody is the connection. The lullaby acts as a literal auditory bridge across that vast isolation.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Space is a vacuum where sound doesn't travel, yet she is using this melody to reach across it anyway.
By acknowledging the sheer exhaustion of navigating that space and then offering a soothing, purple-dyed counter melody, The music fosters an emotional ecosystem.
An emotional ecosystem.
Yes, it actively increases the listener's understanding of their own emotions while reducing their sense of loneliness.
It transcends being a piece of entertainment and becomes a functional mechanism for well-being.
Absolutely. It's functional art.
And that functional mechanism for well-being is clearly translating into real-world action.
Oh, the fan response has been unbelievable.
Let's look at the fans. Because the culture surrounding Purple Love is its own phenomenal case study in grassroots mobilization.
It really is.
In her message, Dorado talked about being completely overwhelmed by the streaming support she is receiving online. But what she emphasized is fascinating.
What did she say?
She explicitly stated she cares infinitely more about the fans actually loving the song than she does about the chart rankings.
Now, that is a radical shift in the standard pop music incentive structure.
Totally.
Normally, the industry operates on a strict scarcity mindset. There can only be one #1 spot, so fandoms are encouraged to treat streaming as a zero-sum war.
And yet the Dorazia fans are mobilizing with military precision anyway, just out of pure affection.
It's incredible to watch.
We are seeing Filipino fans actively bypassing region-locked streaming sites just to ensure their streams count.
I saw that.
They're essentially doing digital parkour, clearing caches and using workarounds, which requires immense labor.
It's so much work just to listen to a song.
Meanwhile, Korean fans are aggressively sharing the track across every platform available to them.
Right.
When you have international fans coordinating complex workarounds, not because they are told to win a chart battle, but because they genuinely resonate with the emotional core of the track, that is the ultimate metric of a successful release strategy.
It really is.
Yeah.
We have to look at the psychological health of this specific mobilization, though.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
Highly motivated fandoms can rapidly degenerate into toxic environments where the primary activity is tearing down other artists to elevate their favorite.
We see it all the time on social media.
Constantly. But look at the competitive environment Dorado is currently in. She is going up against her closest friends in these very rankings.
Right.
Yet she actively disarms any potential toxicity. In her message, she specifically thanks her fans for supporting the other members as well.
She thanked them for fighting fair and square. You never hear that in pop music rivalries.
Never.
It's historically about domination, not fairness.
Exactly. By changing the rules of engagement, shifting the goal from dominating the charts to mutual healing and support, she cultivates cooperative prosperity.
Cooperative prosperity, I like that.
She increases the overall joy for everyone involved. She proves that you can generate massive global hype without relying on the negative, stressful energy of fan warfare.
It's an incredibly refreshing dynamic. And all of this, the brilliant R&B production, the deep vulnerability of the lullaby, this massive, healthy wave of global streaming is all funneling toward one very specific moment.
The live stage.
Yes. Preparation is officially underway for a highly anticipated live stage performance of this song on April 14th.
Given the sheer weight of the emotional context we've unpacked, that performance is going to be incredibly charged.
That shouldn't be something special.
It will be the physical manifestation of that auditory bridge we were just discussing.
It's going to be electric. So let's tie all of these threads together.
Sounds good.
Today, we've completely deconstructed the three pillars holding up this phenomenon. First, we broke down the musical mechanics. Dorado stepping out of her pop comfort zone into the demanding world of R&B, utilizing Code Kunst's layered atmospheric production to create a risk-taking but flawless sound.
And we saw how that sonic architecture provided the essential safety net required for true vulnerability.
Right. Second, we explored the raw emotional core of the lyrics. We analyzed how she took the hyper-specific, niche nostalgia of a childhood dinosaur and her real-life homesickness and engineered a universal, purple-dyed lullaby that functionally soothes the listener's own exhaustion.
And finally, we examined how that vulnerability mobilized a global fan ecosystem, proving that massive hype can be driven by cooperative prosperity and fighting fair, rather than toxic competition.
For everyone listening, definitely make sure you mark your calendars for that live stage performance on April 14th. It is going to be a masterclass in emotional delivery.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final introspective thought based on everything we've uncovered today.
Let's hear it.
We've seen how Dorado took her deepest vulnerabilities, her feelings of geographical isolation, and the absolute simplest of her childhood comforts, and engineered them into her most successful professional triumph.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, what purple dinosaur are you hiding in your own life that could actually be your greatest creative asset?